If you're anything like most people, you've probably spent a shocking amount of time on the internet, seeing thousands if not millions of incredible things you could have never seen in real life. But even with all the hours you've already put in, it's impossible for you to see everything. Lucky for you, I've compiled some of the internet's most unusual and interesting videos hidden in the depths of the web. Ready to see some amazing things you've never seen before? Let's get it on! Melting cars. Nobody likes extremely hot weather, no matter how much your rich friends claim all the sun on their vacation was delightful. Well, it turns out cars don't like heat much either. It's difficult to believe, but if you could get a car hot enough, they actually melt. And not just melt a little bit so the metal warps, but actually melt into puddles or rivers of metal that harden again when it cools down. It's one of those things that really would be impossible to believe if you couldn't see it. Band Island. We all love a good mystery, so you'll probably be quite disappointed knowing that there's pretty much nowhere you can't go on Earth with the right amount of money. In that case, we have some good news for you. There is in fact an island off the coast of Brazil which no human is allowed to set foot on. Brazil made it illegal to visit this particular island. But why? Because you'll probably die. The island is populated by golden lancehead snakes, one of the deadliest reptiles known to man. And there are so many on the island that it's estimated you'll run into one in every square foot. It's not called Snake Island for nothing, and the snakes on this island are particularly dangerous since they were isolated from their already deadly cousins when rising sea levels created the island, and they were left to evolve especially strong venom. If one bit you, you would most likely be dead within an hour. And don't hold out hope for an antidote, since many people who are treated for lancehead bites still die. Maybe this is one mystery that's best to be avoided. Octopus in a jar. You've definitely seen an octopus before. After all, they're pretty fascinating creatures. They have 8 tentacles, 3 hearts, and they can change color. But did you know how intelligent they are? They are in fact some of the smartest animals on Earth, and to prove it, take a look at what this octopus in a Japanese aquarium does. Researchers, presumably trying to check the problem-solving skills of the octopus, wanted to see if it could open a tightly closed jar from the inside. It's a trick that even the greatest magicians would love to do. After some careful analyzing, it amazingly figures out how the jar works and manages to open it within less than a minute. That's pretty impressive, especially since I'm sure you know at least one human who would have struggled to open that jar from the outside. Car vending machine. Remember those claw machines filled with toys that you used to find at arcades? The ones that made it almost impossible to win something? Well, this new machine is quite an improvement on things like that. For one thing, it's not rigged to make you lose every time you play it. And it's not filled with cheap toys, but cars instead. It's called Carvana, and it's the world's first coin-operated car vending machine. Of course, you need to buy the car online first, but nobody really wants a delivery driver driving their brand new car to their house before they even get to sit in it, so you're probably going to want to pick it up yourself. And picking it up from a giant glass vending machine is just so much cooler than a dealership. You can see your new car from outside its glass tower storage space before you drop a special coin into a slot that starts the futuristic process of a machine collecting your car for you. You can watch the process happen too. You get to see the car being automatically put onto a platform, lowered to the ground, and then moved along into a glass delivery bay where you can go see it. Best of all, they film it for you, so you can post it on social media, as if buying a car wasn't cool enough. They really took it to another level. Shredding money. Let's face it, everyone could do with an extra $1 million popping up into their bank account. There's just nothing like a crisp new $100 note. But what happens to the ones that aren't so crisp? Well, for every new note, a torn, dirty one gets shredded, and that happens in shocking numbers. The Federal Reserve Bank in New Orleans shreds an eye-watering $6 million every day. But that, of course, means $6 million worth of tiny, confetti-like bits of paper every day. So what happens to that? Well, it used to just be tossed into landfill, but today, at least in New Orleans, something more surprising is happening. It's growing tomatoes. They've worked out how to turn all that cash into compost so urban farmers can grow vegetables in it. That's pretty amazing. Although I bet even the farmers using the compost would have rather just had the cash before it was shredded. Underwater pizza delivery man. What happens if you're staying at a hotel 21 feet below sea level and have a craving for pizza? You call Rob Doyle. He works at Jules's Undersea Lodge in Florida, an ex-Marine research center and a current very unusual hotel. He doesn't just handle pizza, but anything your heart desires, since you can't exactly help yourself if you're stuck in a steel structure under the sea. But how does he get it all the way down there? He's a scuba instructor who knows exactly how to dive deep to the airlock underneath the hotel, and he has a special watertight case designed to keep water away from your pizza or whatever you decide you need delivered to your room nice and dry. He also handles maintenance at the hotel, so he's probably lucky there are only 2 rooms. It's a fittingly amazing job for a one-of-a-kind place. Elephant artists. People have always been fascinated by elephants, whether because of their incredible size or their obvious intelligence, but it turns out their ability to learn tricks is only the start of their talents. Give them a brush, paint, and a canvas, and they can do some pretty incredible things. Their amazing trunks give them the dexterity they need to be able to control a brush, and not just enough to put a few colors on a canvas, but actually enough to be able to paint a realistic image of other elephants. If you've ever seen a human child try to paint an animal, you'll know just how amazing it is that this elephant understands how to successfully represent her friends in a painting. It's not easy. It's a remarkable sight, and with time and practice, who knows? You might see this elephant's work at the top art galleries in New York. Car from the future. Even car enthusiasts could have their minds blown by this one. This car is from the future, so I can almost guarantee you haven't seen it before. Mercedes-Benz decided to create a luxury car inspired by the film Avatar, and it is a sight to behold. They wanted to create a car that merges man and machine with a focus on the environment, and it shows. The car really does look like a living creature, with its blinking aerodynamic flaps and pulsing lights. It can of course drive itself too, and it can turn its wheels to the side and drive sideways like a crab. You can choose to operate it manually despite its lack of steering wheel. Instead, you just rest your hand on a central panel to start the car and to get it moving or steer. It's definitely futuristic and almost organic at the same time, but most of all, it's really incredible to look at. City of Ice. Ever wondered what it would be like to live in a Narnia-type ice castle? Well, you might have the chance to try it if you just take a trip to China at the right moment. The Harbin International Snow and Ice Festival attracts ice and snow sculptures from around the world who create gigantic illuminated sculptures of all kinds of things. But the most breathtaking attraction at the festival is always the Ice and Snow World. It's a town made of ice. A lot of ice. More than 6 million cubic feet of it. The ice town stretches over more than 8 million square feet with a gigantic castle at its center, and it's all lit up in wondrous colors. It seems like a dream world, but that may be slightly tainted by how insanely cold it is. It's up to you to decide whether it's worth freezing half to death to feel like the ruler of the Ice Kingdom for a few minutes. Robot Samurai. Robots really have come a long way from being something that only existed in sci-fi movies to becoming machines that sometimes surpass fantasy. This project set out to see if an industrial robot could possibly match a master of ancient sword techniques. By conducting a 3D analysis of 5 times world record holder swordsman Isao Machi, they could analyze his technique and they hoped would be able to program the robot to copy it, and the results are breathtaking. They pit the robot against the master in a mini championship, making it compete in challenges like a diagonal cut, a rising cut, an increasingly accurate horizontal cut, and a stamina testing 1,000 cuts challenge. It's not often you're left unsure of who you're more impressed with, a robot or a human, but this video certainly fills that gap. Futuristic neighborhood. Futuristic cars are almost expected, but what about a whole futuristic neighborhood of houses? In the Netherlands, you can live in a place like nowhere else on Earth, and that looks straight out of a sci-fi movie. These alien-like golf ball houses were built a surprisingly long time ago, all the way back in the 80s by a Dutch artist. Located just 1 hour from Amsterdam, these very different houses all feature a bedroom at the bottom, a bathroom on a middle level, and the round living space at the top. The idea behind them was to bring the people living inside them closer to nature, with the round windows all around each house allowing its inhabitants to view their surroundings from almost any angle. So of course the houses were built along a scenic canal to give everyone something to look at. I don't know how easy it is to buy furniture for a round house, but they're definitely interesting and may well be worth it. Sand art. You've probably heard of many artists who use strange and unusual mediums to create beautiful things. But what about a canvas that washes away their artwork? Well, the American artist Jim Devon has chosen beaches during low tide as his canvas. He spends hours drawing huge geometric patterns across the whole beach and likes to finish each artwork just as the tide rises and the sea moves in to destroy all his work. The patterns are amazingly accurate, even though he can't really see what he's doing because they're just so big, and they really are huge. In fact, he's the world record holder for the largest artwork, which he was awarded for a piece which was an incredible 10 miles in circumference. There's definitely something poetic about art that gets washed away, but I don't think most people would put that much work into something that doesn't even last a full day. Psst, hey, you still there? Well, since you made it this far, here are all the shoutouts we promised everyone that commented on our previous video. If you want to be shouted out in our next upcoming video as well as the ones prior, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below saying, "Pick me!" Once you're at it, you might as well leave a like too.